Mike's a big Chelsea fan. Mike, good morning.
Morning, guys. How are you doing? All right?
Good, mate.
Morning.
What's your take on this? I mean, do you back Tuchel, oblique Simon Jordan, or do you go with Trevor and say, get on with it?
It pains me to say it, but I'm backing Tuchel and I'm backing Simon this morning. Trev, I love you, mate, but you're a bit wide of the mark for this. If you look at the injuries and the COVID problems that Chelsea have had, we've had no games called off quite easily. We could have done. It's not like Arsenal with their one player stubs a toe so they can get 4 games called off. But if this had been City, if the Chelsea were top of the league now, you'd be saying, oh, yeah, player fatigue, it's not good. But I do think we're the victim of a perfect storm here because of bad player recruitment, samey players like you said with Pulisic and Zajic and people like that. They're quite injury prone, so they can't get a sustained run in the team. And when they do come in, adding in Lukaku and his issues, you only need to look at the pass that Zajic gave Lukaku at the weekend to know there's definitely an issue there between them two.
I mean, do you think are we reading too much into it though, Mike? I mean, Chris in Northumberland is saying Tuchel's moaning is just human nature. Most managers do the same if they're not winning. When they're winning, everything's fine. When they're not, they'll moan.
You could say that. Do I think the players could probably have a dose of just get on with it? Yeah, probably.
Right,
but
okay.
As I said, we played 16 games since December. That's a lot of games with an injury squad.
Mike, from a mentor point of view, do you think that's helpful for the players to hear their manager saying the players are fatigued? And just going back to your point, when you've got players that are quite slight, which Manchester City have got more than anyone, I would say one of the shortest teams in the Premier League when it comes to height, strengthening and conditioning in your medical team, which is what I mentioned earlier, are so important. And if they're picking up injuries, it's because the strength and conditioning. The Premier League takes no prisoners when it comes to this kind of thing. And unless you're doing the due diligence and doing the training, you need to stay fit to avoid injuries.
Well,
this is why some of the players, especially if it's muscular.
Mike, if you don't mind, we'll swap one Chelsea fan for another. And here he is, Vernon, big Chelsea fan. Vernon, good morning to you.
Good morning, Jim. Good morning, boys.
Trevor's basically saying City playing so many games, getting on with it. Chelsea playing so many games, but drawing a lot, unhappy.
Yeah. I think it's a little bit deeper than that, to be honest with you, not just games. Although I do appreciate the fact Chelsea have had a very heavy schedule. And as the guy just said, I haven't missed one single game through COVID. But there's a lot of deeper things, I think, that's going on at Chelsea. And if there's a lot of subtle things you notice, as a seasoned Chelsea watcher, it's beginning to sound like the same old story already.
What subtle things, Vernon?
Subtle things like the players' body language, Tuchel's body language, the things that Tuchel says, the way he says them. The fact that he's flailing around at the moment like a drowning man with his tactics. He's changing from 3 at the back to now he's going to 4 at the back and back to 3 at the back. And to be honest with you, the team hasn't got any rhythm. He's starting to throw people under the bus, which always is a red light to me. When you mention people's names by name, like Lukaku and things like that, in interviews on the TV, that's a no-no.
Oh, but Vernon, come on now. That's a direct response to Lukaku's behaviour. Otherwise, he probably wouldn't have never done it.
No. I'm not talking about the behaviour. I'm talking about his performance at Man City, Simon.
But we're talking about Lukaku being called out by the very nature of the fact that Lukaku brought everything into question, didn't he?
I remember when I rang you a couple of weeks ago and I said I think Lukaku's a bad egg. And I honestly believe that he's upset the rhythm of Chelsea's dressing room. I honestly do. And it only takes one player. Ziyech last night when he scored the goal, he was like a little spoilt brat, with his little face. Trevor's right. Chelsea have got a lot of those tippy-tappy players, I call them. But these are the tippy-tappy players that got Chelsea over the line last year against Man City in the final of the Champions League. So I'm not going to say that we're a totally useless team. I'm just saying I think Tuchel is a bit of a dead man walking at the minute. If he carries on down this path, there's someone in situ at Chelsea right now that would be the perfect interim manager named John Terry. And I think that he was brought in about a month ago.
Vernon, it's not that bad. And I know you. Yeah. And this is coming from you, who's a staunch Chelsea fan.
Yeah, listen, I've seen it all before, Jim. I've seen it 100 times. This is beginning to smell real bad for Thomas Tuchel. He's starting to moan, and he's coming across as a bit wet, if you ask me. I don't think players need to hear their manager bleating on like they are, like he is. At every interview, we're tired. I'm tired. I don't know where we are. Where are we? Are we in Brighton? Are we in London? I mean, come on. The man's an intelligent man. It comes across as really wet. I mean, as a Chelsea fan, even not as a player, if I was his player, I would be thinking, come on, man, show some backbone. You know, that's what players need a heart.
And that's
Yeah.
basically what you're saying, Trevor. Get
I
on
think
with
so.
it.
I mean, listen, as a mentor, he's the leader of that group of players. If you're giving them excuses, they'll take them excuses. I think there's a little bit of disharmony in the changing room. I think the fact that he keeps on bringing up Lukaku's name, whether he's playing well or not, if he's going to draw a line under it, let him miss the game because of the comments he come out with and draw a line under it. Don't keep it going on. And I think the fact that he's bringing out his name and saying he's not playing well or he's not doing this well, I think it's dragging it on. And I agree with Vernon. I think there's a little bit more going on in that dressing room.
I mean, if Lukaku's performances...
But it's not just Lukaku, so why pull his name out?
But Lukaku is the offensive player that was brought in. Lukaku is the most demonstrative player on the pitch. He's the player that wants the ball where he wants it, where he wants it. And I can see what Vernon's saying to some extent.
They've not got any wing assignment.
Okay,
so how's he supposed to get crosses? That's his game.
But Trevor, also, his performance against Man City, when he did have the ball at his feet, was particularly poor. So let's not just blame it on everyone else. Just look at the reasons why Lukaku is being
I'm not
sent.
saying blame it on anyone else, Simon. I'm saying don't dig him out individually because it's a team. If they're getting good quality into his feet, he's going to deal with it. And if he's getting support immediately at the front of him, he's going to deal with it. If he's getting good crosses into the box...
So we agree to a man that he handled the Lukaku affair very well.
Yes.
And managed it.
But he's
And
dragging it
now
on
all of a sudden... In this room, we have the intellectual capital to tell a guy that's handled it very well that he shouldn't call a player out for his performances, for a player that has specifically and explicitly said certain things about the way the team's set up, about his expectations.
But are you drawing a line under it, or are you dragging it on, Simon? This is what I'm asking.
It depends if you're a world-class manager or not, and your view is that you don't need to draw a line under it. You need to concentrate this player's mind to step up to the job that he was brought in to do. And I would be more inclined to go with Thomas Tuchel's version of it than yours.
Interesting.
It's not my version, it's just what I'm seeing.
There's
your version
Matthew
of it.
Gould, big listener to this show. Nice to hear Simon this morning backing Martin Keown about player welfare.
I'm not really.
Vernon, thanks for that. Jason, another Chelsea fan. Jason, Vernon painted a pretty bleak picture of ongoing events at Chelsea. Almost called him a dead man walking.
To be honest with you, I switched off when he started going on because... obviously, everyone's got their opinion, but when I understand what you're saying about, or what's been said about Tuchel and stuff like that, I agree with Simon. I don't think it's an excuse; it's a fact. From our starting team, potentially, excuse me, look, last night you had Mendy missing, Chalobah missing, Chilwell missing, Reece James missing, Christensen missing.
Yeah.
Now I understand that loads of teams go through this, but we haven't got the opportunity to mix it up like we did before. Before they got injured, Chilwell and Reece James are arguably the two best fullbacks in the country, which was then crossing the ball in. That is what they're good at, getting that ball in the box.
Yeah.
Alonso gets forward, turns, comes back. Azpilicueta, he does try and get the ball in, but it's not as good as the deliveries that Reece James and Chilwell putting in. We've had, obviously, lots of injuries and stuff like that. I understand where Trevor Sinclair's coming from.
But Jason, the bottom line is it's not about too many games.
Jason, can I just point something out to you? You know, you look at the other two teams that are doing well in the Premier League, who are ahead of you in the Premier League. They've got wingers who can affect the game. When you look at your team, because you play the 3-4-3, if Reece James and Ben Chilwell are not available, the players that are coming into them positions, I don't think they've got the ability to do what them to. So where's the width coming from, Jason? I think it's the shape that's killing the team. And the last call of Vernon just come on and said they're changing the shape from a 3 at the back to a 4. It's because he doesn't know the answer yet. He's not worked out a way to play his best plays, but still get the threat in behind and get width.
Yeah, but then if you take Robertson and Trent Alexander out of the wing back position or the back 4 position for Liverpool, are they getting the quality in there?
Well, but they have had that this season. And Tsimikas has gone in at left back for Andy Robertson, and they've had a right back go in there. 2 or 3 different players have played in that position. They've been able to adapt and deal with it. I think this is the fact that Chelsea are not being able to adapt.
And this might be the nub of the whole thing. Jason, listen, thanks for the call. Moen has just come in with one as we head to a break. Simon, this does seem to sum it up. Tuchel made this excuse against Brighton 3 weeks ago. Brighton were missing 7 first-choice players and had half a bench. Some respect for Brighton in this, please, says Thomas.
Yeah, they played well.
Absolutely right,
Yeah.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Thursday morning, 10 till 1. On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.